We should start. Yesterday we discussed about the few AmpScript functions. Today we are discussing a very important AmpScript function, that is if-else conditions. Okay. Now, so what is meant by conditional? It is a part of conditional statement. Conditional statements are nothing but the flow control statement. Flow control statements of the program where we have to write multiple conditions, and depending on the logic or depending on the nature of condition, we will execute the logic. Okay. For example, right, I will write down the simple what we can say simple conditional statement, right? Uh, so for example, right, consider we have one variable called as age, right? Now, depending on the age, whether the age is greater than 18, the particular person is having a coupon code or having the eligibility for voting or not, that we have to identify. Now we have to check what is his age, and depending on the age, right, we have to find out the whether the person is eligible or not, and depending on that, right, we have to show the logic, right? So this is a simple example, right? So let me give you brief on this, right? But before jumping directly to the program, right, let me give you some brief on what is the conditional and how many types of conditional statements we have, right? So in Salesforce Marketing Cloud specifically, we have single conditionals, and second is multi-conditionals. Multi-conditionals. What is meant by single conditionals? Single conditionals means where only one condition is written. Where only one condition is written. It is called a single conditional. What is meant by multi-conditional? Multi-conditional means where multiple conditionals or conditions are written. Okay, single conditional again further divided into two categories. First is if conditionals, and second is if else conditionals. Okay, then we have multi-conditionals. In the multi-conditionals, we have else, else, if, else, right? So these are the three types of conditional. Along with that, right, we have one function called as double IF function. Okay, this function is also useful to write down the conditional statements, right? This we will discuss separately, right? Let's concentrate on the single conditional and multi-conditional first. So let me just get you into my email where I am practicing the AmpScript. So let me just get into the same email. I think this is the email, example 2nd March, right? And on this email, I will edit my email. Let it load, guys. Actually, it will take some time to load. Okay, I'll edit content. Perfect. Okay, now observe. This is my AmpScript. I'll remove everything, right? Now, in the AmpScript, right? This is how we have to start the AmpScript block. This is how we have to end the AmpScript block, right? Inside this, we are going to write down the AmpScript. Consider we have one variable, right? At the rate age equal to, let's say, 27. Okay, let's say we have a variable, right? Age. Now we are having the value in the age, and value will change depending on the subscriber that we associated with for this email. Okay. Now depending on the age, we have to find out, right, the person is eligible for voting or not. How we can find out? We can find out simply using the conditional, right? So I'll do one simple rough work here, right? Age, if age is 27, I can easily find out the particular belongs to 27 age is eligible for voting or not. How? Simply I will check if age is greater than, let's say, 18, then he is eligible, or age is, right, if it is not greater than 18, then might be it is less than 18, right? Else not eligible, not eligible. Okay, so this is the simple logic that I have for the my business problem. Okay, so what, how we can represent this simple if else statement in the AmpScript? I will show you the syntax of the if else statement, right? So if statement has the condition, right? If condition, then, right, we will write the code block, right? Else we will write the code block, right? And finally, we have to define the end if. This is the simple syntax for the if else statement, right? Once again, I will show you what is exactly syntax, right? If we have to specify the condition here, right? Then we have to write down this then keyword. So if and then are the keyword. This code block is nothing but the logic that we wanted to execute whenever this condition is true, right? If this condition is true, then and then only this code block will get executed, right? If that condition is not true, right, then this else code block will get executed. And always remember, whenever we are ending the if else statement, we have to write end if, right? There is mandatory thing to do is write down end if at the end. Okay, now what is my condition? Yesterday we discussed about the operators also, right? We have the comparison operator. What are the comparison operator? We have comparison operators. We have comparison operator like greater than, less than, greater than, equal to, less than, equal to, right? Not equal to, and equal to. Okay, my requirement is if if age is greater than 80, so I can use this particular operator, right? So I'll write if at the rate age. Why at the rate age? Because at the rate will identify age as a variable, means age will be variable, means age is variable is treated by this at the rate. Okay, it is identified by the at the rate symbol. So at the rate age, if age is greater than 80. Now, as I told you, right, all the operators that we have in the AmpScript, right? AmpScript does not support the mathematical operator. AmpScript supports the comparison and logical operator. Logical operator. What are the logical operator? And or, right? These are only operator present in the AmpScript, right? All of these operators will give me a result in true or false, right? Means all of this operator will return me true or false. In our case, if age is greater than 18, if age is greater than 18, right, this entire program will give me the true or false, right? If age is greater than 18, then means if this condition got true, then we have to execute something. if this condition got false, we have to execute this, right? Either if or else will get execute. Means both the block cannot be get executed at single statement, right? Either if will get executed when the condition is true, otherwise else will get executed if this condition is true false. Okay, fine. So what I wanted to execute. I wanted to execute simple. I will have one variable set at the rate message, or I can write down or create the variable here also, right? So I'll do one thing. I'll define the variable set at the rate message equal to, right, eligible for voting. Eligible for voting. Okay, right. Now, if it is less than, let's say, 18, then this condition will get failed. After this condition will get failed, right, this code block will be avoided, right? Means it is not going to get execute. Then what will happen? Then else in the else we are going to write down the execution of this particular condition if it is failed, right? If age is less than 18, then we must set one message, set at the rate message equal to not eligible for voting. Okay, now I wanted to see the execution. Execution means if I got eligible for voting, then my program is correct, right? Because age is 27, right? I will change the value of age below 18, then it should show me not eligible for voting. Okay, so let me do one thing. Let me write down the view function to view the output as a message, right? Let me check the value of message. Done editing. Next. It is eligible for voting, right? What about if the age is, let's say, 16? It is not eligible for voting. Now, how this particular value, that is 16 or 27, will come? We know that we have the data lookup or lookup functions or attribute values, right? To get the value inside the particular variable, right? From data extension means this value that we are hard coding here, right, will come from the data extension itself, right? And depending on the value means this value change subscriber to subscriber while sending while performing the send, right? This value is not a constant, right? So depending on the value or depending on the age of the subscriber, right, we are distinguishing the message eligible for vote or eligible not eligible for vote. Am I clear? Are you getting the syntax of if statement? Yes or no, guys? Yes. Now let's do one thing. Let's compare two numbers, right? Let's write down the simple comparison and find out the greater number from the two numbers. Okay, my requirement is very simple, right? My requirement is I have I will get two numbers. I have to compare them and just create the comparison and find out the greater number from the two numbers. Okay, how we can so consider, right, here. If we have a two numbers, if we have a two numbers, num1 equal to 10 and num2 equal to 20, how I can find out which number is greater, right? Simply I'm comparing both, right? How I am comparing? I can compare it using the operator greater than or less than, right? And whatever value I am getting, right, with respect to the operator, from that I can make a conclusion which number is greater, right? Same program I need to do with the AmpScript. right? So how I am going to do it, right? Percent square bracket opening, closing square bracket, percent. This is the simple program. This is my simple program where I'm ultimately this is a sample program where I'm ultimately writing the AMP script. Okay, I need the two variable, right? So how I can get the two variable? Simple, right? Set at the rate num1 equal to 10, right? Another set at the rate num2 equal to 20. Okay, now understand. Consider, right? Consider I wanted to check the greater number from both, right? How I can calculate it, right? I will write a comparison code syntax, that is if statement. If condition, then code block, right? Else code block, and if. Okay, you need to remember this code block because in interview there might be possibility that means the person will ask you the syntax too, right? So if condition, then code block, else. Why we do not have the then after else? Because there is no condition to compare. This is a default outcome. Okay, so that's why. Okay, so this syntax you need to remember. Okay, if condition. Now consider I wanted to find out the greater number. How I can find out the greater number? Right, simple, right? I will write the condition. If num1 is greater than, this is the operator, greater than operator, at the rate num2. If num1 is greater than num2, then we will set we will set at the rate, right? I can have anything message, right? Means there is no compulsion that we must have the message variable only inside the if. You can write down any variable name. I can write down message like this also, right? So variable name does not have any compulsion, right? About the variable names. Variable names can be anything. Set at the rate message equal to I will set, right? Simply num1 is greater, num1 is greater, right? Else set at the rate message equal to num2 is greater. Okay, here we have num1 greater, here we have num2 greater. Now I wanted to check the results. How I can check the result? Percent equal to v equal to percent, right? And I will check the value of message. Message means a variable. Okay, done editing. Next. If you know the num1's value is 10 and num2's value is 20, num2 is a greater number. Num2 is a greater number. Okay. Now my requirement is, right. I wanted to find out the lesser number, smaller number. I'll change the particular operator, and here I will just write down the smaller. Okay, right? So how this program got executed? We check this condition. If the condition is correct, right, then it executed this, right? It do not go to the else, right? If this condition is false, then it avoid if block, right? This block, right, and it directly went to else, right, and executed this, right, and we got the message. Okay, now the question is, i don't want I don't want to write down the message. My requirement is simple, right? If the person is eligible for, let's say, eligible for voting, then we have to show him the button for vote, right? Or simple, right? If the person is let's make it simple, right? In the day one, right? My requirement is very simple, right? If the particular person is eligible for voting, then he should execute a proper line of program, right? with the 2-3 lines or 2-3 HTML lines, right? And else, right? If it is not eligible, then it should be different, right? So how I can execute? So this is not the traditional way of writing the if else block, right? We have written everything. Means we have started the script from here and end directly here, right? And we use the v function to show the variable value. But this is not how it should be written. It should be written or it should be executed like this, right? So we do not use the variable to execute the code, right? Or this code block, right? What was here? Here we have the code block, right? Here we have the code block. What is the meaning of the code block? Code block can have multiple lines. Okay. So if I wanted to execute anything here, right, which is not part of my AmpScript, right? Obviously, then I need to end the AmpScript here, right? So I will show you something, right? So look at here. My AmpScript is started here, right, and ended here now, right? But my requirement is I need to write down the 3 lines, right here, 3 lines text here, right? And for the else condition also I need to write down the 3 lines. Means if the num1 is greater than num2, then these 3 lines, right, must get executed, else these 3 lines will must get executed. Okay, then how I can do it, right? My AmpScript will start here, right? From here, observe, I will end my AmpScript here. How I can end it? Simple. Okay, right? And here I will simply write down the text code block if, right? From here, again, I will start my AmpScript. Okay, now look at here. My AmpScript started from here, ended here. I have written the if block, right? If block is outside the AmpScript, right? Means if this condition is true, then we will execute this block. Else, right, we will execute, let's say, this code block else, and we will start ELSEIF from here. Okay, now observe, if, right, we have the first set of AmpScript, then second set of AmpScript, and then third set of AmpScript. Let me just click on done editing and execute. If you can see, code block else got executed. This code block else is nothing but the text, guys. It is a text. Okay, why it got executed? Because num1 is greater than is not greater than num2, right? Num2 is greater in our case, right? Because it is 20, right? So that's why else got executed. Let me just make num1 30. Now num1 is greater, right? Num1 is greater means we are expecting the three line in front of if block should get executed. Code block if. I can write down anything. For example, if I have a small HTML program here, right? That too I can write. For example, right? Let me write down here, right? If if block if block line 1, if block line 2. Okay, if block line 3. Okay, in the else block also I will write if block line 1, or sorry, not if, else block line 1, else block line 2, else block line 3. Okay, done editing. Next. If you can see, if block line 1, if block line 2, if block line 3. Why it is not coming in the multiple lines? Because this is not a text, guys. This is a code snippet. We have a code snippet block, right? If we wanted have it into multiple line, then we must use the break tag like this. It is a HTML tag, by the way, right? That will give us the line in the next line directly. Means line by line output will be given by the break tag. Okay, fine. Now, can I use v function outside here? For example, my requirement is right after the if, right? If num1 is greater than num2, I should get the first line like num1 is greater. Now, num1 means not literally number. I want 30 is greater than 20, right? The statement, right? So how I can get this value of num1 by simply using the v function. So I'll use percent equal to v, right? Equal to percent, right? The value of num1 is greater number than percent equal to v equal to percent than num2 num2. Okay, right? And here also in the else, if if this condition false, then I want num2 is greater than num1, right? Num2, I don't want num2, right? I want 20 is greater than 30, something like this, right? So percent equal to v equal to percent, right? At the rate num2 is greater number than percent equal to v equal to percent at the rate number. Okay, I'll click on done editing. Next. If you can see, 30 is greater than 20 if block executed after that, right? Let me change the value of num1 and num2. Let me make it, let's say, 10 and 20. Now, 20 is greater than 10, right? This is the output that we are expecting. See, right? 20 is greater than 10, else block line 1, else block line 2, else block line 3 got executed. Am I clear, guys? Are you comfortable with the syntax? Yes or no? This code block is same as the content block or dynamic content block. Yeah. Right. This code block can be anything, right? Simple, right? We have to just write down. So for example, right, if we wanted to have the button here, right, we can write down the button code, but not this code block. This code snippet will not work here, right? We have to write down the HTML styled button here, right? Means it must be in the code snippet only, right? Means if I write down, if I start AmpScript here, it should end in this block only. Okay. Any doubt, guys? Any doubt? Okay, shall I move ahead or you have any doubt? Okay, fine. So let's jump to the multi-conditionals, right? So the question might be, um, if we are writing the single conditional, right, means if else conditional, right, uh, do we have to write else? Means if in the if else statement, right, does this else part is compulsory or totally optional? Because it our single conditional is divided into two types, if conditional and else conditional. What is meant by if conditional? Let me write down here, right? So in the if conditional, the syntax can be something like this: if condition, then code block else, sorry, and if. That's it, right? This is the if conditional, right? If condition, then code block and if. Okay. And second is if else conditional, if if एक second, if else conditional, okay, if condition, then code block, else code block and if, right? So there is no requirement that we must have else with the if, right? We can directly end the if statement by writing the if condition also, right? Here, if we have a two code blocks that should be controlled by this particular condition, right? Then we can write down the else. Okay, and the third statement is if else. Okay, so this particular can be like this. So excellent. So the third statement is if else condition. Okay. Now in this else if we can write if condition, then code block, right? Else if condition, then code block. Else if condition, then code block. And finally, and if, or we can write down the default outcome, else code block. Now, if you can see right here, wherever we have a condition, right? Wherever we have the condition, right? Then we have the then, right? Means if there is a condition in the statement, then we compulsory have the then. After else there is no condition, that's why we do not have the then, right? Here also, right? If you can see, I'll write here and in. Okay, here also, if you can see, after the else we do not have then, because condition comes up with the then. Means always remember while writing the syntax or while writing the program, wherever we are going to write the condition, then there must be a then keyword. Okay, whether it is in front of if or whether it is in front of else if. Okay, after else we do not have any condition, that's why there is no mention of the then. Okay, am I clear? Yes or no? Now let's have one example, right? Let's have one example. Yeah, someone raised the hand. No. Okay, let's have one example. So here, if you can see, right, the same example. This example is giving me the 10 is greater or less, right? But consider if both the number are same, then our program got stuck. Observe, right? If both the number are same, right, then 10 is greater than 10, and if you can see, else block got executed. Okay, now we can say that our logic is failing, right? When we have two number comparison, right, that have the value same, right? It is executing the else block, right? So we must have multiple condition to check whether the number is greater or less, right? Logically our program is correct, means we are checking, right? The first if block, right, means this condition means num1 is greater than num2, right? This condition is is false, then it is not executing the entire block. Directly it is executing the else block. Logically this is correct, right? But right, functionally it is not correct, right? Why? Because we haven't checked for, let's say, equal. We haven't checked for equal, right? So we must have to check all the condition, right? So to execute the difference, or to execute the greater number from num1 and num2, we must write multi-conditional to check. Okay, let me write down the program, entire program. First, right, again, those who do not get the syntax, concentrate guys. This is how my AmpScript will start. This is how my AmpScript will end, right? Now I have to write down the multi-conditional. I will simply write down, I will create two variables, set at the rate num1 equal to 10, set at the rate num2 equal to 20. Okay. Now after this, I will have, if I'll write the multi-conditional, if condition, then code block, else if condition, then code block, right? Else code block and if. Okay. This is a simple syntax. If condition, right? If condition, I will write the condition here. If num1 is greater than num2, right? When this happens, I will set one variable, set at the rate message equal to num1 is greater. Okay. Then condition, I will check condition for num2. If num2 is greater than num1, then I will set at the rate message equal to num2 is greater. Okay. The final outcome code block is set at the rate message equal to both are same. Okay. So either num1 should be a greater, or num2 should be a greater. If both the condition fails, then there is only one possibility, that both means both are same. Okay. Now I haven't used the v function to view the message, right? So I'll use that percent equal to v equal to percent, right? Copy this message. I'll paste here. Done editing. Next. Num2 is greater, right? But I don't want generic information like num2 is greater, num1 is greater. I want exact value of number, right? So I will change this entire message thing, this variable, into the blocks. Okay. So from here, my AmpScript started. I will end my AmpScript here, right? I will end my AmpScript here. I will again open my AmpScript block from here. Okay, right. Again, in this particular greater, right, this num2 greater, right, this block, right, I will close my AmpScript, right, and again open it. Okay, in the else also, right, I will close my AmpScript, right, and again open it. Okay, now observe, right? Here my requirement is num1 means num1, the value of num1. How I will get the value of num1 using the v function. So percent equal to v equal to percent, right? Num1, the value of num1 is at the rate num1 is greater than num2, the value of num2, right? Percent equal to v equal to percent, right? At the rate num2. Am I clear? Right. So if num1 is greater than num2, it should print something like this. Num1, that is 10, is greater than num2, 20. Okay. Now, if this fails, then else block should get executed. What is the else block? Num2, the value of num2, the value of num2 is is greater than num1, the value of num1 at the rate num1. Okay, fine. So this is the if block, this is the else block, then we have else finally. Sorry, this is the if block, then else if block, then we have else. Else is both the number are same, right? So I'll write num1, the value of num1. Okay, v function inside v, I'll write num1 and num2, the value of num2. I will again use v function. Percent equal to v equal to percent. Inside that, I will put at the rate num2. Both are same. Okay, done editing. Next. If you can see, num2 is greater than num1, 10. Okay. If I change, I will I will put the num1's value greater now. Will execute. Num1, 30 is greater than num2, 20. Okay. I will put both the values same. Done. Next. Uh, just hold 2020. It will work now. Num1 20 and num2 20 both are same. Am I clear? Are you getting me, guys? If it is too fast, let me know, because I cannot able to see you as this is a virtual training, right? So I just need to ask you. There is no other medium. Okay. Yes, directly ask the question.
We are writing AmpScript code in code snippet, right? But suppose
Yeah.
we have to add HTML code in conditions, then we have to drag HTML here only in
No,
condition.
no. In the code snippet, HTML will work.
Well, okay.
Yeah. Or if we wanted to write down the if statement here also, right? In the any block, let's say HTML block or the text block, it will work, but it has some limitations, right? And if you practice it today, from today only, right, it will give you error, multiple error, and it will confuse you, right? So means timely you will get understanding where to use what, right? Means for example, we are going to use the inline functions, right? If we have to write down the if else logic on this button, right, how we can execute, meanwhile timely you will get understanding. Don't worry about it, just practice in the code snippet. because first you have to get the confidence on the AmpScript that this is the means. For example, here you do not have to put, let's say, semicolon. Why? Because that is not a part of the syntax. It will give you error, right? So this kind of confidence means you will get in the code snippet. Okay. Then timely you will get understanding about everything. Okay.